Have you ever noticed something alarming happening to our kids? Everywhere you look, there are more shy children struggling to connect with others, kids battling learning difficulties, and young minds that just can't seem to focus. What if I told you that much of this isn't random, isn't inevitable, and isn't just kids these days? What if the very way we're trying to help our children is actually making things worse? Today, we're diving deep into something that could completely transform your relationship with your child. I'm going to share 3 powerful, scientifically proven techniques that will help you raise confident, emotionally intelligent kids without ever raising your voice. And here's the kicker. These methods don't just stop bad behavior. They actually build the kind of children who become successful, happy adults. But first, let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. When was the last time you yelled at your child? If you're like most parents, it was probably more recent than you'd like to admit. And if you felt guilty afterward, you're not alone. But what if I told you that guilt might be your parenting superpower? Here's what's absolutely mind-blowing to me. We're living in 2025. We have smartphones that can translate languages in real time, cars that drive themselves, and yet millions of parents are still using parenting techniques that haven't evolved since the Stone Age. We're literally trying to raise digital natives using methods our great-great-grandparents would recognize. The science is crystal clear, and it's honestly shocking. Researchers at Cambridge University conducted a groundbreaking study that followed thousands of children for over 2 decades. What they discovered should make every parent pause. Children who grow up in homes where yelling is the norm don't just have bad days. They carry invisible wounds that show up as anxiety disorders, depression, and relationship problems well into their adult lives. But here's where it gets really interesting. The same research showed that kids who experienced frequent yelling had brain scans that looked remarkably similar to children who had experienced physical abuse. Let that sink in for a moment. The verbal aggression we might dismiss as just raising our voice is literally changing our children's brain structure. Now, before you start feeling terrible about that time you lost it over spilled juice or homework battles, here's the good news. Harvard University researchers discovered something incredible on the flip side. Children raised in homes with open communication, respectful dialogue, and emotional intelligence don't just avoid problems. They actually thrive in ways that seem almost superhuman. These kids develop what researchers call emotional resilience. They bounce back from setbacks faster, they form deeper friendships, they perform better academically, and here's the part that will blow your mind. They actually become the leaders other kids naturally follow. They're not just avoiding negative outcomes. They're creating positive ones that compound throughout their entire lives. Think about the most successful, emotionally intelligent person you know. I guarantee you, they weren't raised by parents who solved problems by getting louder. They were raised by parents who understood something profound. The goal isn't to win the moment. It's to build the human being. So why do we yell? It's actually not our fault. Well, not entirely. Our brains are wired with what scientists call the amygdala hijack. When we're stressed, frustrated, or feel like we're losing control, our primitive brain takes over. It's the same system that helped our ancestors survive saber-toothed tigers, but it's absolutely terrible at raising emotionally healthy children. The problem is that yelling works in the short term. Kids usually stop what they're doing when we raise our voice. But here's what's happening beneath the surface that we don't see. Every time we yell, we're teaching our children that problems are solved through intimidation, that relationships are about power rather than connection, and that their feelings don't matter as much as our convenience. But what if there was a different way? What if you could get better results, build a stronger relationship with your child, and actually enjoy parenting more? What if I told you that the parents who seem to have it all figured out, whose kids are respectful and confident, aren't just lucky, they're using specific techniques that anyone can learn. The transformation starts with understanding something counterintuitive. The moments when you most want to yell are actually your greatest opportunities to teach your child something valuable about handling difficult emotions, solving problems, and building resilience. Here's the truth that changed everything for me and thousands of other parents. Effective parenting isn't about being the loudest voice in the room, it's about being the calmest one. It's not about winning every battle. It's about teaching your child how to fight their own battles with dignity and strength. The 3 techniques I'm about to share with you aren't just theories from some parenting book. They're battle-tested strategies that have been proven in real homes, with real families, dealing with real problems. From toddler tantrums to teenage rebellion, these methods work because they address the root of behavior issues, not just the symptoms. Let's start with technique number 1, positive communication mastery. This isn't just about saying nice things or sugarcoating everything. This is about rewiring your child's brain for success through the strategic use of language that builds rather than breaks down. Here's what most parents get wrong about communication. We focus on what we don't want our kids to do instead of what we do want them to do. Our default mode is correction rather than direction. But neuroscience shows us something fascinating. Children's brains are literally wired to move toward what gets attention, not away from what gets criticized. Let me give you a real-world example. Your 8-year-old is playing loudly while you're trying to work. The typical parent response might be, "Stop making so much noise. Can't you see I'm trying to concentrate? How many times do I have to tell you to be quiet?" Here's the positive communication approach. "I love seeing how much fun you're having with your game. I need to focus on my work for the next 30 minutes. Can you help me by finding a way to have just as much fun, but quieter? Maybe we can set a timer, and when it goes off, we can play together." Notice the difference? Same goal, completely different energy. The first approach teaches the child they're a problem to be solved. The second approach teaches them they're a partner in finding solutions. But positive communication goes deeper than just changing your words. It's about understanding that every interaction with your child is either making deposits or withdrawals from what psychologists call their emotional bank account. When we constantly correct, criticize, and control, we're making withdrawals. When we acknowledge, appreciate, and guide, we're making deposits. Children with full emotional bank accounts are naturally more cooperative, more confident, and more resilient. They don't act out to get attention because they already feel seen and valued. They don't resist our guidance because they trust that we have their best interests at heart. Here's a powerful technique within positive communication called emotional labeling. When your child is struggling with big feelings, instead of dismissing them or trying to fix them immediately, you simply reflect back what you see. You're really frustrated that your tower fell down. That's so disappointing when you worked so hard on it. This simple acknowledgement does something magical. It helps your child's developing brain make sense of their emotions, and it teaches them that feelings are normal and manageable. Children who grow up with their emotions being acknowledged rather than dismissed become adults who are emotionally intelligent and self-aware. The second technique that transforms families is mastering clear boundaries. Now, before you think this means becoming stricter or more rigid, let me explain what boundaries actually are. Boundaries aren't walls designed to control your child. They're guardrails designed to keep them safe while they learn to navigate the world. Think of boundaries like the lines on a highway. They're not there to ruin your driving experience. They're there to help traffic flow smoothly and safely. Children actually crave boundaries because they provide predictability and security in an unpredictable world. Here's where most parents go wrong with boundaries. They set them in the heat of the moment, they change them based on their mood, and they don't explain the reasoning behind them. But effective boundaries are set proactively, maintained consistently, and communicated clearly. Let's say your 10-year-old wants to stay up later on school nights. Instead of either giving in or laying down the law with, "Because I said so," you could say, "I understand you want more time to relax in the evening. Our family rule is lights out at 8:30 on school nights because your growing brain needs at least 10 hours of sleep to help you learn and feel good the next day. Let's figure out how to make your evening routine more enjoyable within that boundary." Notice how this approach respects your child's desire while maintaining the boundary and explaining the reasoning. This teaches your child that rules aren't arbitrary. They exist for good reasons. It also models how to advocate for yourself respectfully, which is a life skill they'll use forever. Boundaries also need to come with natural consequences that are related to the behavior. If your child forgets to put their bike away and it gets rained on, the natural consequence isn't losing video game privileges. It's having to clean and dry the bike before using it again. Natural consequences teach responsibility without creating resentment. Here's something crucial about boundaries that many parents miss. They're not just about managing behavior. They're about building your child's internal compass. Every time you hold a boundary with kindness and consistency, you're helping your child develop self-discipline, which is the foundation of success in every area of life. The third and perhaps most powerful technique is constructive conflict resolution. This might sound fancy, but it's actually the most practical skill you'll ever teach your child. Life is full of disagreements, misunderstandings, and competing needs. Children who learn to navigate conflict with grace and creativity become adults who can handle any challenge life throws at them. Most families handle conflict in one of two ways. They either avoid it completely, which teaches children to suppress their needs and feelings, or they handle it through power struggles, which teaches children that relationships are about winning and losing. Both approaches miss the incredible opportunity that conflict provides. Here's what enlightened parents understand. Conflict is not a breakdown in the relationship. It's information about unmet needs. When your teenager slams their door, they're not just being dramatic. They're communicating that something important to them isn't being acknowledged or addressed. The constructive conflict resolution process has 4 steps, and each one builds your child's emotional intelligence. First, pause and breathe. This models emotional regulation and prevents the amygdala hijack I mentioned earlier. Second, acknowledge the emotion behind the behavior. I can see you're really upset about something. Third, get curious about the need. Help me understand what's most important to you right now. Fourth, problem solve together. What are some ways we could handle this that work for both of us? Let me walk you through how this might look with a common family conflict. Your 12-year-old wants to go to a sleepover, but you're not comfortable with the family hosting it. The old school approach might be, "The answer is no, and I don't want to hear another word about it." The constructive approach sounds like this. "I can see how excited you are about spending time with your friends, and how disappointed you are that I'm hesitant about this sleepover. That connection with your friends is really important to you. I'm feeling uncertain because I don't know this family very well yet. and I want to make sure you're safe. Let's brainstorm some ways you could spend time with your friends that help both of us feel good about the plan. This approach validates your child's feelings and needs while also sharing your own concerns openly. It treats your child as a problem-solving partner rather than an adversary to be controlled. And here's what's beautiful about this process. Even if you don't reach a compromise your child loves, they feel heard and respected, which maintains the relationship while teaching them how to handle disappointment maturely. Children who grow up experiencing constructive conflict resolution become adults who can navigate difficult conversations with their spouse, advocate for themselves at work, and teach their own children these invaluable skills. They don't avoid difficult topics or explode when they're frustrated. They lean in with curiosity and creativity. Now, let's talk about what happens when you consistently apply these 3 techniques. The transformation isn't just in your child's behavior, though you'll definitely notice they're more cooperative, confident, and emotionally regulated. The real magic happens in your relationship with your child. You become the person they come to when they're struggling, not the person they hide from. You become their guide and mentor, not their warden. You become a team working together toward the shared goal of helping them become the best version of themselves. But here's something important to understand. This approach requires more from you initially. It's easier in the short term to yell, threaten, or control. These techniques require you to stay emotionally regulated when your child is losing it. They require you to be creative and thoughtful when you're tired and stressed. They require you to see the long-term goal when the short-term chaos is overwhelming. But the investment pays dividends that compound for decades. The child who learns emotional regulation from you becomes the teenager who makes good decisions when you're not watching. The child who learns problem-solving skills becomes the adult who builds successful relationships and meaningful careers. Think about the parent you want to be when your child is choosing your nursing home. Think about the grandparent you want to be when your child is raising your grandchildren. The techniques you use today are shaping not just your child's childhood, but your entire family's legacy. Every family is different, and every child has unique needs, temperament, and ways of experiencing the world. These techniques aren't about following a rigid formula. They're about developing the skills and mindset that allow you to adapt respectfully to your individual child's needs while maintaining your role as their loving guide. The journey of conscious parenting isn't about perfection. You'll still have moments when you lose your cool, when you fall back on old patterns, when you wish you could have a do-over. The difference is that you'll catch yourself faster, repair the relationship more skillfully, and learn from each experience rather than beating yourself up about it. Remember, you're not just raising a child. You're raising the adult they'll become, the parent they might become, and the member of society who will shape the world long after you're gone. The patience you show them today becomes the patience they show others tomorrow. The respect you give them becomes the respect they give their future relationships. This is how we break cycles of dysfunction and create cycles of emotional health that ripple out far beyond our individual families. This is how we raise the kind of humans the world desperately needs. People who can stay calm under pressure, solve problems creatively, communicate with empathy, and build relationships based on mutual respect rather than fear. Your children are watching everything you do, absorbing not just your words, but your energy, your values, and your approach to handling life's challenges. Every day, you have the opportunity to show them what it looks like to be a mature, emotionally intelligent human being, navigating an imperfect world with grace and wisdom. The choice is yours. You can continue using parenting techniques that might have been passed down through generations of well-meaning but uninformed parents, or you can choose to be the parent who breaks that cycle and creates something better. You can choose to be the parent who raises children who think of their childhood with gratitude rather than something to recover from. Your future self, your child's future self, and even your grandchildren's future selves are depending on the choices you make today. Choose connection over control. Choose understanding over intimidation. Choose growth over perfection. Choose love over fear. The transformation starts with your very next interaction with your child. Will you meet them with curiosity or frustration? Will you see them as a problem to be solved or a person to be understood? Will you use your power to overpower them or to empower them? The choice is yours, and the time is now. Your child is waiting for you to become the parent they need you to be. And here's the beautiful truth. You already have everything you need inside you. You just need the courage to choose love over fear, connection over control, and growth over perfection. The future of your family starts with your next breath, your next word, your next choice. Make it count.